of interacting with people on all different levels in your life. 3 main questions I will share with you to reflect upon. To be able, first, to understand yourself. And sure, it takes practice, but to create new habits, some of the great scientists say that you take a new habit and you need 21 days to really implement it with yourself. Ask yourself, are you agile? Write down in which areas you are. In which areas of your life are you agile? How is it perceived by others? And how would being agile benefit you in your life? Because now you're acting like A, but what if you would react in an agile way? How would it benefit you and everybody else? Don't hesitate to contact me, to mail me. I love that. Enjoy your day.
Excellent. So that was oops, that disappeared. That was Blayan's presentation. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us in person from Belgium, but we do have Dr. Madu with. Are you ready to start your presentation, Madu?
Yeah, hello, Edward. I'm here.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know you had problems connecting initially.
Yeah, but I'm glad I'm here.
Absolutely. Are you able to share your slides?
Yes,
would you like to share your slides? Yeah. And I'm glad to see we actually are recording now, so that's good.
Hello, Edward.
Hi. So, Dr. Obiora, Madu, you're a professor or adjunct professor at MUST, and you're also the CEO of Multimix Academy, also the CEO of BPO Academy, Nigerian Director for the Director General of the African the African Center for Supply Chain. Is that correct?
Yes, Edward.
Well, we welcome you here to this select group. Obviously, we are recording it, so it will be available online over the coming weeks. Please go ahead.
All right. I don't know whether it's good morning or good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you are connecting from.
I think we have a complete mix.
Okay. All right. I'm supposed to be speaking on logistics and future Africa. I've been involved with this logistics, both as in consulting and in education. So I'm going to take us through what logistics is like in Africa as we speak, and then what we need to do going forward. Transport and logistics, as we all know, play a major role for the growth of any economy. Companies, organizations also need to manage logistics and supply chain if they wish to continue to remain in business. So it is key. In fact, some people say that logistics is life and life is logistics, because without it, nothing can actually happen. It is the fastest growing career in the world today because that's the source of competitive advantage for organizations. So it's something that is key. Now, in 2005, International Trade Center, an arm of the UN, We had a conference in South Africa. And everybody was worried. Africa is about 20% of the world population. Most of the natural resources reside in Africa. But Africa's contribution to global trade is less than 4%. So everybody believed that something must be the matter. And then research showed that supply chain was the key challenge. So Africa is suffering because of inability to construct the supply chain that will take care of the natural resources that we have. We have comparative advantage, but we lack competitive advantage. Logistics is the backbone of every economy, providing efficient, cost-effective flow of goods on which other commercial sectors depend. So there's no gainsaying that you can have comparative advantage. When you don't have competitive advantage added to it, then you live in poverty in the midst of plenty. Ironically, the speed of transport system and logistics process on the continent is ridiculously slow. Let me give you an example. About 6 years ago, the Kenyan Export, by the way, I'm speaking from Nigeria, the Kenyan Export Promotion Council came to Nigeria and found out that they could supply us tea and coffee at very good rates. And of course, because of proximity, they also thought they could also save money. Now, we did a market report. It looked profitable. Everything was okay. But 6 years down the line, nothing had happened. The reason is that for you to ship the coffee and tea from Kenya, it will have to go to Europe before it can get to Nigeria. The moment you do that, you have lost the competitive advantage that you are supposed to get. So that is a problem. Using Nigeria as an example, it is cheaper as we speak to bring a container from China to Lagos, Nigeria, than to deliver the same container within Lagos City. So you can understand what I'm talking about, that the cost of doing business is so high, occasioned by very poor logistics infrastructure. There are no links. You have to ship to Europe. In fact, at times when you are even flying, just taking a trip to some African countries, you have to do a merry-go-round just for you to get to where you're going. So infrastructure is defined as part of the structure, material, or economic base of a society. Therefore, infrastructure can be seen as the basic structure that fosters good performance of an economy. When you don't have roads, you don't have rail, and even your aviation is not working, then there is no way such economies can actually do well. If you look at the slide now, you can have a look at this is supposed to be a road, and you can see trucks and other things trying to deliver. If your container by any means finds its way into this place, that will be it, probably for the next 24, 48 hours. So the time, which is very crucial in logistics, is lost across Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa. We're talking about infrastructure, road infrastructure, issues of road congestion, just as I've shown you, as you can also see on the screen now, road conditions, interstate highway accesses, vehicle taxes and fees, railroad access, water ports, and then air cargo access. All these are the things required to enable Africa take advantage of the comparative advantage that we already have in most of the areas. Infrastructure is actually a competitive factor. Some of the agri-commodities in Nigeria, which are if at a certain point of the season, the local price is higher than the international market price. And this is occasioned by logistics infrastructure, which drives the cost of getting those things together very, very high. The world logistics industry has changed, and Africa must do something about it. Rapid expansion of international trade, both in goods and services. Global competition in products and services is driving higher standards, and according to the words of Thomas Friedman, the world is flat. The competitive field has been leveled. So nobody cares where you come from, whether you come from a third world country or a fourth world country. Quality standards are quality standards, and you have to meet it. That's part of the challenge in Africa. Competition is getting very, very strong every day. And then just a slight disadvantage can push you completely out of the market. Technology. Africa needs to move up. Intermodality, ability to use two modes of transport. That's another challenge. In many African countries, you can actually have them, but not integrated as they ought to be to grant the necessary advantage. Energy is an issue, security, and then, of course, a lot of bottlenecks. This is the kind of pictures you see. So much is produced in the area of agriculture, but they can't find their way even to the cities where the market is. When they do try, they fall into a ditch and all the products will pour, just as we have seen on this slide right now. So Africa's poor infrastructure has constrained growth in the logistics industry. Time delays, bottlenecks for international shipments, poor tracking and tracing capabilities, and poor logistics quality and competence. Now, this is another issue. For a very long time, the rest of the world understood logistics and supply chain management a long time ago. So the education is available everywhere, because there are two types of infrastructure that we're talking about. We're talking about the hard infrastructure, which is all the ones I've mentioned, and the soft infrastructure, which has to do with the quality of people you are turning out from your universities and what are they studying at the end of the day to be able to add value to the economy. These are challenges across Africa. Improving trade logistics is key. Right now, Africa is talking about the Continental Free Trade Agreement. My stand had been on television, on articles, and on, I keep saying that if we do not do something about logistics infrastructure, it will all come to naught. Intra-African trade is below 12%, which is poor compared to other parts of the world. Regional integration is far from making good progress. So these are part of where the challenges is. Now let's look at the Logistics Performance Index, the World Bank Logistics Performance Index. If you look at what is being measured, then you will find out the reason why the last 10 most of the time come from Africa. It measures a country's performance across 6 logistics dimensions: efficiency of the clearance process by border and border control agencies, including customs, quality of trade and transport-related infrastructure, ease of arranging competitively priced shipping, competence and quality of logistics services, ability to track and trace consignments, timeliness, and shipments in reaching the destination. These are the pillars, the 6 pillars that the World Bank uses to judge nations. And unfortunately, this slide is not very clear, but if you look at it, these are the last 10. I think the only country that is not in Africa is the very last one, number 160, which is Afghanistan. It's Central African Republic. You have Mali, Libya, Eritrea, Burundi, Angola, and the rest of them. The last 10. So if you look at the parameters that are measured and look at the position that African countries are occupying, then it tells you that something is wrong. And that thing that is wrong is the logistics and supply chain management. So I'll start rounding up by making some recommendations as far as policy issues are concerned if Africa wants to move forward. Defining and making explicit our moral goal, a sustainable, high and rising standard of living. Because this is the result that we'll get if we, like some time ago, the Prime Minister of Malaysia said that the economy opened up the year they put a highway from the north all the way to the south. Of course, that will affect a standard of living. Understanding that the world has changed dramatically. Political boundaries have disappeared. So we'll have to do something about that. Understanding that wealth in the future is based on insight, sophisticated human capital, optimistic cultural attitude, advocating competition, learning, trust, cooperation, and investment in intricate edges. This is very, very crucial for Africa. This is very, very crucial for Africa. The world economy is largely a knowledge economy as we speak. Going back, like I said earlier, the quality of your graduates, the quality of your education system, enough to support the objectives that you're setting for yourself. I've said something about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The negotiation was along both goods and services, but it's supposed to be taken off effectively July this year. But I think that we need to be thinking more about the logistics that will carry this very particular agreement. So that's how I will end it up. It's a whole lot. There's a whole lot to say, but I'm working within my time. But the fact is that yes, we have natural resources. Yes, there's so much that can be done, but we are working in silos, and we're not recognizing that without logistics and supply chain management, that we won't get too far. Thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you, Edward. I think I want to stop it here.
No, you're welcome. Gennady, I know that's got his hand up, so I'll unmute him.
Yes, thank you very much for your remarks. My name is Gennady Stoliarov II. I'm the chairman of the United States Transhumanist Party, and your presentation is relevant to the presentation I will be giving on Thursday evening, which is on how Africa can effectively combat COVID-19 using some innovative policies. But one major policy proposal that I have is the rapid construction of hospitals across Africa, one hospital for every 50,000 in population. And the question of logistics is highly relevant to this, because while I believe Africa has the manpower, the ingenuity, the resources to enable such rapid construction, quality of roads matters, quality of other transportation infrastructure matters in order to get the materials delivered to the places where the hospitals need to be built. So in your understanding, if we just had a few months' time, but let's say we had the will to build better transportation infrastructure within that time period in order to make this plan happen, where do you think should that energy be directed, and what could be accomplished within that time frame to enable goods to be transported across Africa much more effectively than they are today?
Thank you very much. First of all, in between African countries, you don't have too many rivers and seas and the rest of them. That means that highways are possible. The challenge is that even within the regions, there are regional integration going on. You have ECOWAS, you have East Africa, you have SADC, and the rest of them. You find out that even within those regional, I think East Africa is about the only one that you can say is a little bit more integrated than the rest of them. ECOWAS is as old as I can remember, but the truth is that it's still a hell going, for example, from Nigeria to Ghana. So the roads, the highways and the rail, because the rail is a critical element that we need here, because the rail will carry more and then the cost is also lower. So the rail and the road can run side by side across Africa. Then also, if you go to the maritime sector, a lot can be done, because it is easy to just move like from South Africa to Nigeria if you have the sea link that can make that happen. So then of course there's need for improvement in terms of aviation, because right now I think Ethiopian Airline is probably the only or the most profitable airline across Africa. Most of the countries do not have national airline again. We do not have in Nigeria. The rest of them, it's still the same thing. So the leaders and the policymakers don't seem to realize the importance, just like you're saying. In the health sector, apart from the big roads and the rest of them, last mile delivery is a crucial item for hospital, health commodities, for them to reach the patients who need them when they need them. So I think it's across all the modes of transportation, but a lot more will happen if we have the roads and rails, and then this is possible.
Yes, thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you.
Excellent. I noticed that Idara Isang is also trying to unmute her.
I don't have the
Idara, you're very broken, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
You're clearer now. Carry on.
Oh, no, I've had the question answered. I was very, was wondering, yeah, about if they could start with using
I'm not sure if that was just me, but I think we've lost your audio, Idara.
Yes, she seems to have dropped off the call for whatever reason.
I'm sorry, my signal failed a moment there. Yeah, I was wondering, I thought, well, yeah, it definitely is a problem. I was just gonna mention some company called COBO 360 that's owned by Professor Ikekwe and so forth, but that has nothing to do with the need to build roads. It's just that he does have some sort of delivery system in place already in terms of logistics. I don't know if you know about that, sir, but yeah, you're quite right. It's more than just having the vehicles and so on. You need the right, the road structures are a problem. So yeah, that's I suppose that's where to start.
Okay, I know COBO 360. Of course, their base is Nigeria. Very, very innovative. I think IFC recognized them as the biggest tech startup in Africa. The young men are doing very, very well. Very, very innovative, using tech But they still have the challenge because the trucks will have to run roads.
Yeah, quite bad.
They are very ambitious. They are currently across West Africa. They are also in East Africa. And speaking with the MD not too long ago, he said the next place to go to is Egypt and Africa. And South Africa, so that they'll be sure they've touched the four horns. So they have the challenge. The only thing is that because of resilience, availability of resources, and the rest of them, they've been able to do what even those who own trucks cannot do.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So this is exactly what has happened. The challenges are there, but those guys are not looking at the challenges. They don't like to discuss the challenges. All they want to see is how to break the challenges and then reach wherever it is that they want to go, and they're doing well. So, but the fact is that how many COBO 360s can you have to be able to reach the entire Africa? There's a limit to how much they can do as a company. If we can have more of them, that would be great. But if we can have infrastructure where even the lesser ones can do well, everyone will enjoy it.
Quite true. Okay, thank you, sir.
Dr. Madu, I was just going to ask, was in terms of local delivery systems, obviously drones have been used and trialed for distribution of medical aid and things like this. Obviously, this is on a very small scale. We're talking truckloads of produce and goods that need to be transported. Where do you see sort of some of those technologies, perhaps leapfrogging the constraints of the enormous investment that's required in the road and rail infrastructure?
Edward, I think we need to crawl, otherwise we're not likely going to be able to walk. Drones can walk.
Yeah. But
the truth is that I actually missed out one major logistics infrastructure, which is power. That's a big challenge in a lot of places. So those technologies can work. They can.
Yeah.
After all, they are not going to be using roads and the rest of them. But can we invest? One of the biggest challenges we have in Africa is that of corruption. Resources are enough that if policymakers understand and are serious, the resources available can take us up to drone level and beyond. But when a whole country cannot successfully run an airline, how far do you think that they can go? So I agree. I mean, each time I look at how fast technology is moving, I get scared because I know that we're being left behind.
Yeah.
All I do as an individual, as far as my organization is concerned, I want to stay up to speed with what is happening around the world. Ignore the challenges just like COBO 360 does, and then move on. So that is it. Yes, it is possible. Those things can work. They can help a lot with last mile delivery and the rest of them. But the point is that I think it will take a while for us to get there.
Yeah, I know. I can empathize completely. I mean, some of the infrastructures that have been put in place, in terms of after civil unrest, telecoms networks have been built, mobile networks have been built, but people walk 2, 3, 4, 5 miles to charge their mobile phones. So there's just no joined up thinking in some instances. So no, I appreciate it. I was just trying to understand to what extent you felt that perhaps even if on a small scale, drones or some other similar technology might be able to overcome some of these other barriers that have been placed there, as you've explained. Idara's got her hand up again, so I'll just unmute her.
One other last possibility is to build the infrastructure that you're talking about around places that have access to delivery, whether you can build them around airports or around ship ports. So the hospitals and so forth would be located at where, close locale to, points where you can ship things in much more easily. Well, but that wouldn't really help the people that are farther away, but it's probably a good start in terms of solving, the difficulty of, deciding. So that's probably an option. So.
Yeah, Idara, you are right. You are right. You are right, because, for example, fruits and vegetables, so many African countries are not doing much along that line. You'll be shocked to know that Nigeria has no conditioning centers at the airports, and they are badly needed to enable you to. I mean, if you miss the flight, you can actually afford to keep those fruits and vegetables in the conditioning center for the next. So, and then if at the seaports you provide processing warehouses within the seaport, there's so much that can be done to reduce the cost of doing business. Part of the challenge is that the people, policymakers and people in authority, do not really seem to appreciate and understand what the challenges are, because as far as they're concerned, they get free money. They're not sweating for the money that they're getting, so they don't understand how the pains that the guys who are doing business are going through.
Yeah, so there isn't, normally out of adversity or difficult situations, you're forced to find alternatives, and I think that's what you're saying is, money's too easy for those that are setting the policies to actually make the change. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. And at what levels do you think that we, as a group, that we might be able to influence some of that decision making?
Thank you. I think first of all, good job you're doing. Your last conference was in Rwanda, and you can see what is going on in Rwanda. You see how a single person can make so much change. So I don't want to say we don't need more conferences. We actually need to have the people in authority, I don't know, maybe change the style of politics that we do, because what happens in Africa is that the right people never get to places where they can add value. Everything is by political patronage.
Yeah.
Technical appointments are given to stooges because the people, either that they do not care about what happens to their country, or they don't understand the implications of what they are doing. It's either of the two. So I think engagements, direct engagements, either at regional level or at country level, I think that will help. That will help, because let's say, for example, I can't remember the theme of your conference in Rwanda, but if the theme of a particular conference that is going to one country is, for example, directed to addressing a particular challenge that is known, that is present in that very particular country. Let's say, for example, you are coming, if you are coming to Nigeria, you want to mount a conference in Nigeria, and then somehow be able to get right up to the decision makers, and then maybe something like this logistics infrastructure, put it on the table, and maybe use the opportunity to drive the point home that they are the ones who are standing on the way of the country. I mean, like, I think it was a port conference of, what year was that? They say, that any nation that is neglecting its logistics and its ports does not care about the prosperity of our people. So this is what I think. That's one way of getting it. How can we reach the very top decision makers and make them to understand that they are doing the wrong thing? It will not be standing on their way to whatever it is they are doing if they can get the right people in the right places and then get value added to people's life. Because the end of it all is actually that the standard of living will go up.
Agreed. Agreed. I noticed that Idara's got a hand up again. Are you unmuted?
Sure. I gave a talk yesterday on a particular project that is under development that will achieve exactly what you are attempting to do to get results. And it's very effective in bypassing the politicians because it's sourcing the capital and the initiative from the public. And of course, that's by crowdfunding. I created a platform called that is, can be used by citizens of various countries. And so what will happen, and so I do disagree with the idea that conferences are not necessary, because in this, on this platform, what would happen is that people would get together and proposals of various sorts be given to them, and the financial analysis and all the features of it, and they would vote and fund and oversee its development. So that's something that's outside of the system of relying only on politicians. And of course they might try to get in the way of that, or try to use bribery to benefit somehow, but it wouldn't benefit them, because I think the masses are so fed up with their politicians that they would not give them that opportunity. And the way that platform is set up, it makes bribery impossible, because you would have to bribe several million people at the same time. And also, to make it more effective, it could be under the aegis of maybe World Bank or IMF or so forth like that. And if it can gain the reputation for foreign nations to make it the source of engagement in the country, instead, so they can bypass the politicians and deal with this body of the citizens in terms of their investments, because they would be sure then that it's being disseminated well. And on that platform, an organization like this would source experts in various disciplines, civil engineers, of various sorts, that would present projects for the continent, and then the best projects would be chosen. So it takes politics out of it, and a lot of degrees, and because the decision makers and the ones who spend money are not just one individual who may not be an entrepreneur and who may not be intellectually curious, and is just someone that just wants to earn money. So yeah, I'm going to be giving a talk on that sometime in May on Facebook, and hopefully I can get assistance from people here that that can make it work, because I think it's probably the most feasible development as a tool to develop the continent, and probably a lot of other places. I will send you some information about it, sir, on your LinkedIn.
Thank you, Dara.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Thank you. I'm an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. So I like to share your optimism, and I actually don't believe that anything is impossible, but those guys are difficult. I don't know, because if World Bank and other UN agencies tell you what they go through, because by structure they can't deal with private sector. Yeah. They must deal with that. That's part of the biggest challenge. They can't deal with private sector. If they were able to deal with private sector, a lot of these challenges, you can actually just jump over government and get things done. But all the same, we will start from somewhere. We will start from somewhere. By the time you break it in one, maybe first of all, you can start from a state level, which will probably be easier. And then, of course, you can break into the federal level. But it's an idea I think will work. So we'll give it a trial. I'll be glad to be part of the project that you're doing.
Wonderful. Yeah, most people seem to see that it makes, it's has a lot of, viability. So yeah, I really hope people will help to develop it, because it's just a matter of gathering people and presenting the projects and, the voting, and an app is being developed that will take all the contributions. It will monitor every expense, and people will be able to go to the sites of the projects and see for themselves, so it makes governance much more, individual, so yeah, it definitely should work. So thank you for your input.
Osinakachi, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, greetings everyone. I wanted to actually thank Dr. Madu. He's getting everything right when it comes to dealing with the government of Nigeria, to be precise. Because personally, I've tried to work out most things, and sometime in 2011, I was the secretary of a political party here in Nigeria, PPA to be precise. So I worked with most of the politicians, and that's why when I started TAFDS, I never wanted to involve. Some persons were telling me, invite this person to the international conference in Rwanda or that. I said, no, these guys, they are not really, they don't buy into ideas, because what they seek for, they don't look at the futuristic aspect of what you are trying to do. They look at, what am I going to gain first before your ideal, your precision in trying to break limits here. So there is always this form of a problem with them. And if you want to bring in a big idea, it's okay, go and try it in your local government, go and try it first, or in your village. So who are you? Where are you coming from? They don't know you. You want to advise them. So I think his answer to Ada is also something one that is, I'm not a pessimist. So yes, so something can also be, we can think out a way of solving this problem, which is the IDRA crowdfunding. I've read so much about it. I think we need to support her and just encourage her. I've read so much. So she started sending me about 3 months ago. So we'll look at it and see a way of making it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands. If anybody would like to ask any further questions, then please do. Otherwise, we can bring this session to an end. Thank you so much, Dr. Madu, for sharing your insights into the challenges that exist, and I think we've potentially discussed a few ways of perhaps how they might be addressed and how we can take this forward in the coming months.
Thank you. Thank you. For me, this is my calling, so I'll be glad to join anytime I'm called, anywhere. Let's see what we can do while we're here.
Yeah. So in terms of the actual, the next session wasn't due to start until 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 04:30 in London and Lagos. Unfortunately, Alejandro de la Solomon is unwell, so the next session will resume at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 0600 London, 0700 a.m. Tomorrow, or Wednesday, the 22nd, with Professor Aubrey de Grey. So I'm not sure if anybody wanted to say anything else, but otherwise I'll put the session on hold, and we will resume again at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
We'll see you then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Madu.
Thank you.